What am I going to do when it comes to render? A lot of people are asking me this. However, I can't speak on anyone's behalf, and I am not telling anyone to do anything. This is just my personal perspective, and nothing I say is financial advice. However, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to stick with what I've been doing throughout this entire time. I've just been staying patient, holding, and that's literally about it. Personally, for me, I focus on the fundamentals at a time when the price isn't necessarily doing the best. Because even if I just want to take a look at the price real quick when it comes to render, the market cap currently is below a billion. When was the last time I saw that market cap? It was back in 2023. So it's been quite a while's away. You know what I mean? Like it's been basically around 2 years ago at this point since I last saw that. Which some people may be thinking, okay, with that in mind though, why would you still even care about a project like this? Well, my perspective is that if I didn't mind dollar cost averaging into render throughout 2024 and 2025, if now I see a market cap that I haven't seen in basically around 2 years, like back in 2023, I'm not going to be so disappointed with that because, again, my hypothetical thing is dollar cost averaging. Now, my point of view is that, sure, render hasn't had the best movements as of late when it comes to the price, of course. It's having a pullback, but a bunch of altcoins are also having a pullback. Just take a look at Ethereum, for instance. Even Bitcoin is having a pullback. And Bitcoin's not even an altcoin. You know what I mean? But even besides that, this is not like a specific situation where it's only projects like Render that are having a pullback. It's like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Render. We take a look at a bunch of projects out there. It's not only just a select few that are experiencing that. So when I take a look at something like that, if a lot of projects feels like it's just having a pullback, what I focus on is projects which I actually like in terms of the use case, because as of right now, even meme coins are having a pullback, right? It's not like it's only just certain projects are having a pullback. However, again, I have a bunch of meme coins that I've never really heard of in some cases are having a pullback. And then also some projects out there that are not known to have the best fundamentals out there, kind of hypothetically speaking. If they're also having a pullback, and then at the same time, projects that have a pretty okay use case, they're also having a pullback, what am I going to be focusing on? Of course, I'm going to be focusing on the ones that I actually like the use case of during a time when the space isn't doing the best. Now, granted, no one is telling me to do this, and no one is like, making me do this, right? Personally, this is just what I'm doing, personally. And I could easily not believe in it, though. I could easily just say, yeah, I don't want a dollar cost average and just kind of leave like that. But then why haven't I done that? Well, it's because I like the concept of render, and also on top of that, I am still in this kind of notion where I don't think I've seen an altcoin season during the cycle. So I think those are the two main reasons why I just haven't exited and just like kind of left this space and not really cared about it anymore. So then that's just kind of basically it. Because even when I take a look at it, I didn't mind dollar cost averaging again into render when the market cap was like above 4 billion, when it was like around 2 billion, 3 billion. So if I see this market cap right now, again, I'm just going to dollar cost average. That's the way to take a look at it, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Now, I'm not trying to find the perfect time, by the way. I am dollar cost averaging literally once a month. That's it, into my favorite projects. Because beyond that, what can I really do? I mean, I can't really do anything about the market. I can't really do anything about render. I mean, I can't do anything actually when it comes to the project. So all I can do is just stay patient and wait. That's it. And I don't have to wait though, right? I don't have to stay patient. I could just leave, but then I'm just voluntarily choosing to do that anyways. And again, I'm just doing that, which may seem kind of like bizarre to some of my friends out there because they're like, okay, why would you care? Well, yeah, I just feel like I haven't seen altcoin season. Also, I still like the fundamentals of render. That's pretty much about it. I'm not only just holding render, by the way, which some people may be thinking, okay, why? Well, it's because, like, the way I take a look at it, I'm never going to know what a project does, right? Like, for instance, I was very kind of enthusiastic over a layer one blockchain called Kadena, but then the Kadena organization not too long ago made this post. It was a very long one, and they were talking about, oh, how they're going to be ceasing operations and all this. And I was like, what? I was very disappointed because I was a fan of Kadena as a layer one blockchain. But imagine if I only held Kadena, right? It would be a totally different case because when they made that post, of course, Kadena is having a pullback at that point, and then now it's even having a pullback as well with a bunch of other altcoins. So yeah, imagine if I only held Kadena, then it'd be a completely different case. So that's why I don't only just hold one project, because as much as I am a fan of Render, I don't know what's going to happen to it, right? Like, sure, $50 is around 28 times, more than what it is as of right now. And the market cap actually at $50, considering current circulating supply, would be around 26 billion, which, I've seen Shiba Inu reach around 40 billion back in 2021 in terms of market cap. But besides that point, there's a massive pullback. But when I take a look at the fundamentals of Render, I am still a fan. That's what I will have to say when it comes to that. Because if we take a look at it, kind of Render at its core, if I want to just explain it quite simply, what it basically does is that the Render network enables individuals to contribute unused GPU power to help projects render motion graphics and visual effects, which at first glance may seem kind of like boring, right? Sometimes people like to tell me that. But it's kind of like a Airbnb type of vibe. That's the way to take a look at it. Because, again, it's unused anyways, right? Again, it's unused GPU power. GPU stands for graphic processing unit. If I just want to, again, equate that to kind of, not really equate, I would say, like just kind of give an example when it comes to like Airbnb as an analogy, hypothetically. It's kind of like, for instance, let's say I have a home and then I have an apartment and then I put my apartment on Airbnb, something like that, right? If let's say that is the case, like I'm not even living in that apartment anyways, it's like unused. So in this case, it's a little bit like that. Now, of course, a GPU is not an apartment or a home or something. It's a graphic processing unit, but I'm just saying it's just kind of that vibe because it's unused anyways. Now, what could some of the hypothetical use cases be when it comes to something like Render, right? In my point of view. I would say that it has use cases, for instance, in augmented reality, mixed reality. We take a look at virtual reality, and also Render kind of has this focus when it comes to AI, which I find pretty cool because granted, kind of a lot of AI projects as of right now, they're not doing the best, which clearly, it's not only just that, right? A bunch of other sectors, when it comes to projects that are focused on those sectors, it's not necessarily doing the best either. However, we've seen moments in time, like especially back in 2024, 2025, even I would say near the beginning of this year, we saw some AI projects have pretty good attention. It wasn't the best because I don't think it was an altcoin season, but I'm just saying. It was still something I was pretty fascinated of. So when I take a look at something like Render kind of having that aspect of AI, arguably, I would say, I don't think it would be such a bad thing, especially considering if, let's say, there was an altcoin season. Now, when is there going to be an altcoin season? I can't control that. I can't, do anything about that. Whether or not it wants to happen or not, basically, it's going to be beyond my control. Like, it's not me approving things. No, I can't do anything about that. The only thing I can do is just stay patient. That's about it. Which I am voluntarily doing, which in theory I don't have to do it. However, just because I'm a fan of the fundamentals, I just am still kind of staying patient. That's the way I view it. Now, also, when it comes to Render, people like to tell me, well, who really cares about this project? Well, okay, I get it. It's not the most popular project out there. It's not the most interesting, some people may argue. But at the same time, what I find pretty surprising is that Render actually still has over 200,000 holders, which is pretty impressive considering, again, the market cap is below $1 billion as of right now, levels in which I have not seen ever since 2023. So, yeah, when I take a look at something like that, with the performance of Render currently, and then still, despite that not being the best, still over 200,000 holders, that kind of is pretty surprising to me, actually, because if someone told me, oh, there's going to be around 150,000 holders if, let's say, Render has a pullback below $1 billion, that wouldn't surprise me, right? If, let's say, that was the case, but that isn't the case because, again, it is below $1 billion in market cap, but then there's over 200,000 holders. So, yeah, when it comes to, I think, Render overall, I'm still a fan of it, fundamentally speaking, and sure, it doesn't have the smallest market cap out there, but it doesn't have the biggest either. But I don't mind, though, because I am in the space of trying to look for a project that is pretty decently sized, but not too kind of small in terms of market cap, but not too massive either in terms of market cap. So, yeah, when it comes to Render, it is still something I'm looking into. And let's not forget, right? I think sometimes people don't really talk about this anymore because it happened quite a while back ago. And then also on top of that, Render isn't doing the best currently. But we have to take a look at the Solana aspect of Render because, we have to consider previously Ethereum and then even making that switch to like Solana, that's pretty impressive considering how it's not like, I mean, I guess a lot of projects out there are still doing pretty okay on Solana. It's not like they necessarily had to really do it, arguably, I would say. Like, I don't think a lot of people would really care that much. But then, of course, we saw not too long ago the community voted to build the network on a new layer 1 blockchain, Solana, which in previously they did build on Ethereum. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily, I think, a lot of my friends at least cared about, but still, seeing how they were even willing to make a change, so to speak, it is still pretty interesting to see, and I think it kind of showcases the forward-thinking mindset because, in my point of view, Solana is primarily known for, at least in my case, meme coins, right? Like when I think about Solana, I don't really think about Render or something like that. I don't really think about like kind of a utility-driven project. I don't think about Jupiter. I usually think about, some meme coins on there. But then at the same time, seeing this aspect when it comes to Solana, I think is pretty interesting because Solana is a pretty up and coming layer 1 blockchain despite the pullback, but I'm just saying even Ethereum's also having a pullback. But Solana is a pretty well established layer 1 blockchain. But, it's just kind of getting started in my perspective because it's kind of still more so known for meme coins. But nonetheless, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to Render because it's kind of giving Solana more of a vibe of a pretty okay use case type of layer 1 blockchain because, again, it's more so known as a layer 1 blockchain for meme coins. But I think hypothetically there could be more other than just that, right? And if let's say there is this kind of altcoin season and let's say Solana becomes a big narrative and even maybe hypothetically more impressive than what it is as of right now, if people take a look at that and they're like, okay, what other projects out there on Solana that don't have a meme coin aspect? Or let's say a project that has the vibe of Solana. You know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to Render, having that utility-driven kind of focus and having that Solana aspect, I don't think it's such a bad thing overall, at least in my perspective. But ultimately, in the meantime, all I can do is just stay patient, but I am just still $1 cost averaging once a month. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but that's just personally what I'm doing currently, and I'm just going to wait and see what happens, but that's about it. Because, again, whenever an altcoin season wants to happen or not, I can't control that. So yeah, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, that's all I can do actually, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and even though nothing I say is financial advice. And I want to say thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.